Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Empowered Hormones podcast. Today, I have the privilege of speaking to Sigi. So, Sigi Fisher is a women's body image and fitness coach. She is passionate about teaching women how to achieve a sustainable body and life mindset that is based on science and experience, not fads and trends. Sigi is passionate about women becoming their healthiest and most confident self through the power of nutrition, training, mindset, and stress management. So thanks for jumping on today with us, Sigi.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I know. I just feel like since Bali, it's nice to connect with people again because you see each other and you meet each other and then you're like, but we live on opposite sides of the countries. And like we're just saying, it's not that close.
It's so true. It's funny you said that because there were a couple of other girls that are connected quite closely, like you and they live interstate. And we just realized how it's really easy to lose connection with people. But I guess it also comes down to, all of us to just making the effort and be like, hey, how's it going? Or like small chit chat, or even messaging you and be like, hey, I've got Bali belly. I need your help.
Yeah, or like your flipping note the other day about the bloody dick pics on Instagram or whatever
Yes.
it was. What is with Instagram notes, by the way? I love your note about sliding into people's DMs because I thought that is so true. I don't know what the purpose of notes is. I kind of like it because I get like a mini Facebook update, like a status without being in your face, but I don't really know what the purpose of it is.
So I think they're trying to be a little bit like Twitter. Not that I use Twitter, but what I've heard is Twitter does those little notes and people can comment and share them and message you. So yeah, Instagram is, getting into it as well now.
It kind of makes sense because it's like when someone puts a post up, it feels like a lot of effort to engage these days, right? Because we're so
Mm.
used to scrolling. So to actually comment on someone's post and then it's a whole thing or whatever. But when I jump into my messages and I just see short sassy things at the top, I just have a little lol and like kind of just flick through them. Some people put advertising stuff up. The best ones I've seen are yours, and our skin therapist has one going, put your SPF on today, and I was like, yes, good little reminders. I love that.
I love that too. And you know what? Like, I found that a lot of my followers are doing a little bit of sassy stuff as well. And it's fun, it's engaging. You want to do like the sassy fun stuff because that's what connects us all together.
Yeah, and it's a bit of personality, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, we do thrive on personality. Like we
Yes,
love
100%.
those differences. And just like, I guess you get that through maybe reels a bit. You definitely get people's personalities, but I don't know. There's just, I'm on it. I'm on board. I like it.
I'm on board too. And especially because of the last two I've put up, everyone's like losing their minds. I'm like, cool, let's continue.
Yeah. I got this. So for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, your background, and what not?
Yeah, sure. So for those who don't know me, hi, I'm Siggy. Are we watching this or are they going to be listening to this?
Maybe we'll watch it. I'll
Cool.
edit it. Yeah, let's do
That,
that because you look
that's all
good.
right.
So we'll
Oh,
roll with
thanks.
it.
But so do you. But like I talk with my hands a lot and I try
Yeah,
like if if
yeah.
people are visual and watching this. So for those who don't know me, hi again, I'm Siggy. I have been in the industry since 2015. Wow.
Oh,
Yes, I've been in the industry for quite a while. And similar to you, Sheridan, I started as a personal trainer as well, doing a lot of like boot camps, group instructing, and then I worked my way up to one-on-one personal training and then eventually started online consulting. And now I'm doing just a mix of everything. But what really got me started in the fitness industry was my own unhealthy ways of looking at my body and my mind and exercise in general. So I don't know if you want me to like go the long story or like a little bit of a debrief, but like I came from a background of having a really negative relationship with my body and food. So I suffered a lot from binge eating episodes. I used to restrict myself really heavily and then binge really heavily on the weekends. And it's funny because now that I look back on it, I wasn't that sporadic binge. I would literally pre-plan my binges. So I knew Monday to Friday I would restrict myself of not eating carbs, not eating fats. I reckon I barely ate any protein. So God knows what the hell I was eating back then. But then Friday night would come and be like, cool, I'm going to have my liter ice cream. And then Saturday night will come and be like, cool, I'm either having a pizza or I'm having burger and chips. And then once Monday hits, it's like, cool, we're doing it again. Let's thrash ourselves in the gym and then repeat. And that cycle went on for about good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, okay. And by thrashing yourself in the gym, was it more cardio or was it strength-based stuff? Because I was going to say, there's no way you'd be lifting what you're lifting now if you're eating what
Hell
you're
no.
eating then. Yeah.
No, no way. So I was your typical cardio bunny. I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I actually did this with a friend of mine back then. We would wake up at 6. We were like each other's accountability buddies. We would run on the treadmill. We'd either do sprints or Tabata or whatever it is, and then do other cardio equipment, whether it was like the bicycle or the rower or I don't know, like anything that kept our heart rates up, like burpees, push-ups, squat jumps, anything like really intense. And we did it twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Twice
Yes.
a day. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. That I remember doing CrossFit and doing like a CrossFit session in the morning and going for like a 10K run in the afternoon and eating literally, it was like coffee and flipping, I don't know, maybe a piece of fruit or something. But yeah, it's crazy because you think about doing that to yourself now and you're like, no way, girls gotta eat. Like, I can't even imagine.
No way. Like I can barely do 4 workouts a week, yet alone do it twice a day.
Yeah. So what were you doing at the time? Were you studying? Were you at school? How old were you?
Um, Back then I would have been in my late teens, early 20s. So I was studying and I was also working part-time. And back then I was either in hospitality or I was in retail back then. So hours were very like sporadic. So hence like why I would wake up really early, get the training done. But if I got the chance to finish work early, then I'd go back to the gym in the evening and do another cardio session.
Yeah, wow. Crazy, isn't it? So did you have any period or skin or hormonal or gut issues or anything going on, or your body handled it all quite fine?
So interestingly enough, I cannot remember what happened back then. I knew my skin was a little bit unsettled because I always was very conscious of my skin and I remember using a lot of makeup. So now thinking about this, I'm like, maybe I was trying to hide something that I wasn't liking. But in terms of hormones, they didn't decline after I competed back in 2016 or 17. Yeah, so I competed for the
In
wrong reasons.
doing what? What kind of
Bodybuilding.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I didn't
You
know that.
wouldn't think that.
No, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, so I did it. I'm pretty sure it was like 2016 or 2017. 16, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did it for the wrong reasons. I didn't give myself enough time to actually prep my body for the comp. I'm pretty sure I did it within like 12 weeks. I was like, yes, let's do it. Where we know with bodybuilders, it takes over 30 weeks for prep, including the reverse dieting.
Of course.
So I didn't have much muscle. I was already quite skinny, and I want to say like skinny in quotations, like um, what's that term that when you don't have like enough muscle, like skinny fat? That's the one.
Yeah. 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 Gotcha. Yep.
So there wasn't much there anyway. So when I was on stage, I was literally like a stick. I was very thin, and the federation that I was in was more like bikini. So they wanted that softer look. So it kind of worked in my favor. Yet post show, I didn't reverse correctly. So I gained all my weight back, and I probably gained more, about 10 kilos or so. But during that stage, I also lost my period for about 6 months.
Right. Okay. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I only know you as the body shape you are now, and you're strong, but you're curvy. Like you've got breasts, and you've got a beautiful figure now. So to imagine you as a stick without any muscle or any womanly beautiful curves, I'd be like, I can't even My brain
No
can't
one
even.
can. You know what? I might have to share it on my
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, I'll send you a photo and I'll show
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, crazy. So you lost your period and then you were still obviously training quite hard and under eating for a while there then.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely under eating and then still training like a crazy woman. However, I was introduced into weight training back then. So I was kind of moving away from just cardio, but into training. But I was still doing the training twice a day. So I would do the cardio in the morning, but then I would do my weight training in the evening.
Yeah, yeah, right. Wow. Your body is, it's amazing how much your body can handle though, really, like
Yeah.
putting it through all of that. So what was your wake up call or turning point, or how did you transition from that?
I'd say my wake up call was when I started working as a trainer because I noticed how many other women were doing the same thing as I was doing and they weren't getting the results that they were wanting.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a light bulb moment going, oh my God, they're doing what I'm doing, but they're wanting the same goals as I'm wanting. I'm not achieving my goals, neither are they. Something needs to change.
Yeah, yeah. So were you doing your own programs? Were you doing all group fitness back then? Or like did you have a trainer who was kind of going, look, these are the strength goals we're trying to hit and you're not hitting them because you're not eating enough? Or how did
So
you?
I was doing my own training back then because I feel as if during that stage of my life, and maybe like a lot of 20-year-olds can relate to this. Oh no, 20-year-olds, like 30-year-olds, because the 20-year-olds in this generation, I think their mindset is completely
Yeah.
different to what was ours. But back then, I was literally just copying workouts from YouTube, or I would go and Google and be like, leg
Same.
workout.
Same. Yeah. 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 Totally. Yep. Yep. Right. So you're doing that, and then you became a PT and you started learning more about strength training and nutrition through that, or what
Yes,
led down that
yeah.
nutrition route? Yeah. Okay.
So the nutrition, so throughout the years of doing personal training, I was heavily interested in the education side of things. So I was very heavily more into the strength training because I had strength goals. I was wanting to eventually actually compete in powerlifting. I never did. I did like mock up meets and stuff like fun stuff like that. But in terms of nutrition, it probably wasn't till I reckon maybe 4 or 5 years into actually working as a PT that I got started interested into nutrition. I think it was also because I had these like blinders on going, oh, I don't need to deal with my nutrition yet. I've got it under control. Where one day I was just like, I'm binge eating. I'm being a hypocrite because I'm telling my clients not to binge eat and to eat certain foods that I wasn't eating. I'm like, I need to lead by example because if they're not going to do it, or if I'm not going to do it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So when you start looking at the nutrition stuff, is that when you started tracking and increasing your macros, or you'd always kind of tracked, or you just started eating more food, or how did you, yeah, transition into going, okay, I need to eat more. These are the foods I need to focus on.
Good question. So I started doing my own thing, and it was it was my fitness pal. Good old my
Yes,
fitness pal.
yes, been there.
Yeah, telling you that you need to eat 1,200 calories.
Yes.
Yeah, God. You know what? Like we live and we learn. However, after my, obviously, I didn't get the results that I was wanting and I was getting so frustrated. I ended up hiring my first coach and he taught me how to track properly. And he taught me certain foods that were, you know, not suitable, but I'd be able to consume better for the goals and the training that I was doing. So from there, I was able to gauge better how much food I should eat, or how many calories, and yeah.
It's interesting because I'm embarrassed to admit that when I started my sports science degree and I was really like, had all the gut stuff and the hormone stuff, but also was using my fitness pal and was like, got to hit my 1,200 calories each day, but didn't know anything about macros, protein, carbs, fat. Went through my sports science degree, still did one thing on nutrition, didn't know anything about prioritizing different ones, did my master's in nutrition and still didn't know anything about prioritizing proteins and how much fat to eat and stuff. It wasn't until like a year or two ago where I did some specialized training in it with a few other coaches. I was like, oh, okay, it's not just the calories, it's the macros. But like, how do you know? Because you log onto these apps and you just kind of go, I want to lose weight. This is how much I'm like exercising. Like now, I don't even bother putting my exercise in there. But you know what I mean? Like we have no idea. We just kind of go off what's put in front of us.
100%. And it's not as if my fitness pal is educating you exactly on like how many calories you should actually be doing, having, or the macro breakdown. It's just like, it just spits these numbers and people are like, oh, these are my numbers. It's just like, no, it's so generic. It actually doesn't know what's actually happening within your life, whether it's like stress, work. Are you a woman? Do you have your period? Like, are you, actually wanting to lose weight? Are you wanting to gain muscle? Are you wanting to have kids? Like the computer doesn't know. So yeah, people, yeah, it's an interesting one.
So you then obviously got on top of your training and started training, strength training more, eating more food, building muscle, those kinds of things. So you were doing personal training at that time. So when did you start with ladies strength department? So when did you sort of branch or start your own thing?
I started my own thing in 2018 when I started working at Good Life Paran in Melbourne. So for those who are in Melbourne. So yeah, prior to that, I was working for other gyms and studios and then ventured and did my own thing, which is really cool because back then when you venture and do your own thing, you get really scared. You're like, oh my God, it's up to me now to do everything. You're wearing all the hats, taking care of all the people. But you know what? I don't regret it. And I'm sure like we would have made so many mistakes. I know I have.
Oh, stop, yeah.
Yeah. Like you live from it. Like you don't know what you don't know till you actually realize, oh, cool, I can do this a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh man, I could do a whole podcast episode on all the shit we've done wrong. Let's not even go down that track. But yeah, okay. So then you started. So tell me a little bit about the ladies strength department and the things you do with women now. What's the basis of that? Are you doing programs?
So to be honest, like it's changed. I wouldn't say it's changed, but it's evolved a lot over the years because before I was doing my own thing, I still had the same ethos when I was working at the other gyms and studios where it's building strong, healthy, and confident bodies. However, that's so generic where under that umbrella, it's just like, cool, well, I had women who were actually needing help with their hormones or they're wanting need with overcoming their binge eating or quit yo-yo dieting or focus just on strength training and get really like strong and fit, and whether it's them wanting to run a marathon or wanting to have babies, like it's such a cool variety of women. So when people are like, oh, like what's your particular niche, it's just like there
Yeah.
isn't one. Like I do a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's a range of stuff. And you're right, you cover so many different things. And even from like, I love you for the mindset side of stuff for starters, which I haven't even touched on, but you're right, that body image and that nutrition. So the women within your, I don't know whether it's like a membership or a program, they get recipes from you, and do you do their programs as well, or is it more
Yeah, so so it's not so much like a community base because the women who come to me want to work with me on a one-on-one basis. So it's very private. However, within the one-on-one coaching, they do get recipes, for them to help to have more of a variety of what foods they could have more because like cooking can get so boring and then you end up cooking the most basic shit ever. Can I swear by the way?
Yeah,
I've
go
been
for it.
swearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm the same as you. Like I'll just eat the same stuff because I can't be bothered thinking about another freaking thing to cook. I'm like, no, I just keep it the same. But then when you have good recipes come through that you don't need to think about the healthy, they, fit kind of your macros loosely or whatever, you go, oh, it's so much easier.
Exactly. Yeah. And I try every month just to spit out like, 5 or 10 recipes for the women and just play around with it. And they're absolutely loving it because they're finding like different foods that they haven't tried before and they're experimenting. And now they have like a flora of recipes where they can literally make a meal for, breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not get tired of it.
Yeah, yeah. You must sometimes look back on the Sigi from, or whatever that was, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, and go, like, how far you've come, and
So far.
the things you're so passionate about now, which is your strength and eating enough food. Like, I remember you in Bali, and I was like, oh shit, I might lose weight while I'm here because I'm eating so differently. And you're like, I will not lose weight. Like, give me the food. This is not happening. I'm trying to strength train. If anything, I need to put on weight. Like, it's such, I just love that, because it's such a flicked mindset from what we're so used to being told every single day, that we need to be smaller because smaller is better.
And you know what? They still spit it out. Like we're approaching summer,
Mm,
and the magazines are out saying, get ready for your summer body, get that bikini body. Even, certain coaches out there, and like, kudos to them for still pushing it, because there's still women out there who do want to work, to do the weight loss, or, whatever body composition goals they have. But the thing is, that should not only be your goal. There's so many other aspects of life that you should be striving for. So yeah, it's funny enough, because like, looking back, I used to literally what's that word they used to use? Shred for
yes,
summer.
yes, 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 yes. Get your bikini body ready.
Literally, I reckon I did it for a good decade, to be honest. I probably, since like high school to my early 20s, where I started noticing this shift in me. And then I haven't dieted, to be honest, I have not dieted in the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. Crazy, isn't it? Like, I mean, yeah, to not think about, I feel like I'm the same as you. I can't imagine the last time I dieted. If anything, it's more a recognition of going, I'm not eating enough food now. Like, because we build these behavior patterns, and when someone like you and me who had these years of under eating and over exercising, that's always going to be your default pattern until you've had enough years out of that. So like, instantly, if I go on holidays, I'm thinking, oh, like, my brain automatically goes, oh, make sure you don't eat enough food. Whereas now I'm kind of going, eat the food, like, eat enough food. Like, you're trying to change those pathways. And you must see that with so many women who have these disordered relationships with food, and how that links to body image and all that stuff going on.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure you do this the same with your women who are suffering with, period problems or any hormonal and gut issues. It's like looking at the root cause and making them realize that, hey, you're actually not healthy to diet right now. We have to put the fat loss on hold till we can actually heal everything else that's going on with your life. So, in instance, for someone who's suffering from binge eating, it's just like, fat loss is the last thing I'm going to be putting you through. Like, we have to heal your relationship with your food, whether it's through your mindset, whether it's through body image, whether it's through the environment, lifestyle. Like, there's so many different aspects, because everyone binges for different reasons.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, how do you think strength training pulls into things like these poor relationship with foods and these poor body image and those kind of stuff? Because personally, for me, I found it really empowering.
Mm.
Is that sort of your push of women that you go, okay, let's focus on strength training rather than cardio, or for example?
Yeah, definitely. So usually when I'll get inquiries, I state in my form, what is your primary goal? What is your second goal? And what is your long term? And usually the long term and the primary goal are the same. They'll be like, oh, I want to lose weight. And then the long term goal will be like, oh, I want to have lost weight by X amount of whatever time. But it just doesn't tie in with the issues that they're experiencing. So when they start strength training, I really aim to make them focus on the performance side of things, instead of actually body composition, because the less they focus on their body, the more goals, the happier they become as well.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I love that. And you're right, like, as you said, or as you said at the start, like, being so passionate about women feeling strong and confident and empowered. And there's nothing more empowering than being able to lift something heavy. Like, it's such a good feeling. And it doesn't have to be like heavy, like it's so heavy, but heavy as in it's heavier than you used to be able to lift. And you just have this sense of accomplishment around it. It's just, it must be such a good feeling. But
Absolutely.
For those who haven't heard the term limiting beliefs before, what,
Mm.
I know you're strong on mindset and changing the way we think about things. Why do limiting beliefs hold us back, and what exactly are they?
Well, how long do we have? So to like keep it short, usually limiting beliefs are beliefs or assumptions that we've made about ourselves because of people pushing their opinions or their projections on us. So usually it can come from childhood. Too often we will listen to someone who tells us we're not good enough, or we're ugly, or we're fat, or you didn't, you should have achieved 100% on your exam, but you only got 99. So those are some of the beliefs that are set into our mindset to lead us to poor results and negative feedback that reinforces this belief in our minds in the first place. And that way I want to make sure for women to understand, like, why is this happening? Where are these limiting beliefs coming from? Because too often they weren't born with it. It comes from their environment. So for instance, I love explaining this to my clients that there's this cycle of poor behavior. So it usually starts from a bad experience. For example, let's use myself. I got bullied when I was younger. So it's interesting because I was one of the larger girls in my high school at the time. And larger, I mean, not as in like overweight, but I was tall. And for the boys in my school, I was sent as a what's the word I'm looking for? Like, quite bulky. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because like the girls that I used to be friends with, they were like slim, short, and like petite, where I was like the complete opposite. Where now, if you meet me, I'm like the complete opposite. I'm so feminine. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that I had that bad experience in high school where I would get bullied and people would call me names, and so on. So you have that bad experience, which then through that poor cycle of behavior, then you go into that negative feedback. So
Mm.
you're feeding all these limiting beliefs in your head, going, okay, well, I'm too tall, boys are not going to like me, they think I'm bulky, so I need to lose weight, and I need to either hide my bulkiness, whether it's wearing like long sleeves pants and not showing my body. So then by that experience, my confidence declines, my courage is reduced to put myself out there or to speak to people. So I became really shy, timid. I was super, super sensitive. So whenever I would get bullied, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I can take it, I can take it, I take it. But then I'd run to the toilets and just like burst into tears going, oh my God, like this sucks. Like no one, like if anyone who's listening to this and has been bullied, you would know exactly like how shit that feeling is. So by that reduction of courage and confidence within myself, then I started having so much uncertainty in decision making and having that disbelief in myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy how much it impacts everything else going on. Like and you were youngish then as well. Like you're at school. It's trying to
Yeah.
make sense of what people think of you. There's no point, being an adult going, oh, don't worry. What, like, who cares what they think? It's like, well, actually, I do care what they think. I mean, even now as a 28-year-old, I care what they think. Like, like it's really hard, I guess, to overcome those things.
And keep in mind, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I don't care what people think. We all care because as humans, we want to be part of a tribe. Like, that's literally why we're here on planet Earth, is to connect with people. You know what? Like, as we were talking before we started recording, we're going how sometimes being an online coach can be quite lonely because you don't have people around you all the time compared to when we used to be on the gym floor. So, again, that can cause some limiting beliefs going, okay, well, I haven't been around people for this long. Can I actually talk to people? Can I socialize? Back to dating as well. Like, if come out of a long-term relationship and you have no idea how to date, you're like, those limiting beliefs come in your head going, oh, well, gosh, like I can't meet people out anymore. It's through apps. I hate apps. They're so boring. Like people just Don't talk.
That was me last year. Like I was like, okay, I'd had a long-term relationship. We'd been broken up for a couple of years. I hadn't been reads a day. And then mid last year, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And then I was like, how do you meet people? And I was like, I don't want to go on apps. Do I have to go on apps? Is this people? What are people going to think of me if I tell them I met someone on Bumble? Like they're going to think I'm just trying to get sex. Like it's just like, oh, it's in your head, but it's not,
It's so funny that we're talking about this because I met my partner on a dating app.
There you go.
And funnily enough, I had these limiting beliefs of not wanting to go on a dating app to find a boy or a partner or a boyfriend, whatever. But the thing is, in this day and age, that is the only way we're going to meet people because unfortunately, women are too shy to actually speak to men, and men are not confident enough to actually approach women in real life. So it's just like, well, we have no other choice but to use these methods.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I look at you and I go, you're a gorgeous, smart, intelligent female. Like, surely you of all people wouldn't have to go on an app to meet someone. You know what I mean? But it's not even about that. And I kind of used to think before I jumped on dating apps, I was like, I must just be, I don't know, weirdos who can't meet anyone who must have to resort to apps. And then I started chatting to all these gorgeous, intelligent women who are all on apps. And I was like, okay, if that's the caliber of people who are on there from, the sex that I'm looking for, I'm looking for a male in that sort of realm of things, and there must be decent men on there. There must be decent women on there. There must be, which is flips that whole thing. And like you said, it was just a limiting belief that I just thought, well, only people who are looking for a short-term hookup would go on a dating app, but it's not true at all. So interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny because like I had this whole like back and forth conversation in my head going, don't go in the app, go in the app, don't go in the app, go in the app, because I was so, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? So determined to find someone out in real life, like out. But the thing is, I reminded myself that I don't go out.
Yeah.
I literally, I don't go out. And if I do go out, I catch up with my friends. And it's not as if my friends are going to want to go out with me to find a man. And again, that's not my purpose of going out. If I want to have a night out with friends, I don't put my freaking glasses on and trying to like look for men.
Yeah, no, I was exactly the same. I was like, where am I going to meet someone? I like going to the gym, but if I'm strength training, I'm not talking to anyone. I just want to concentrate on what I'm doing. You're not really doing group fitness anymore. I wasn't doing CrossFit anymore. And then I was running and cycling, which are all solo sports. And I'm like, okay, either I've got to get lucky through a friend of a friend, or like you said, you need to look at other options that you haven't thought about before. But it's interesting, isn't it? It's so fascinating.
People are easing into it more now because they're realizing that this is the norm, where the old school people, like we're old school, so that's why going into dating apps is really weird, because I remember going into the dating apps a couple of years ago. I was just like, shit, this is how people meet people. You don't meet them friends through friends anymore. So it's just like, cool, like instead of resisting this, let's just see what happens. And if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, hey, at least we gave it a try.
Yeah. And like I said at the start, it's all about coming over those beliefs, and also that whole thing of what will they think? I was reading this thing the other day about you've got to redefine who the they are as well in your head, because it's like, well, who actually are they who we're worried about judging us all the time as well? It's kind of easier if you go narrow it down, go, okay, well, if I meet a guy and I've got to introduce him to my dad and be like, hey, Dad, I met him on a dating app. That to me is kind of scary, because you think we're old school. No, he's even more old school. So then his perception of a dating app is crazy. Whereas if it's my friends don't care. Like if I meet someone on the dating app, they're like, happy days, we're stoked for you. So it is, it's overcoming and starting to sort through those layers, I guess, as well.
Yeah, 100%. I actually don't think I've had that conversation with my parents. I don't think they know how I met my partner. So that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's actually like my number one fear about meeting someone on a dating app is like, how am I going to tell my dad? My mum would be sweet, but my dad would be like, okay, that's a bit weird, Sheridan. Like,
I think he would find it weird because they're not accustomed to it. They used to meeting
yeah,
people, through friends and through parties. That was the norm back then. It's just like
yeah,
sometimes we just have to sit our parents and be like, social media is like the new house party right now. This is how we meet people. Because my dad's always just like, you're always uploading videos. Like he watches everything I do, which is
yeah,
really cute. He's
cute.
like, he's just like, I just don't get it. Like, why do people want to watch this? And I'm like, because that's the reality right now. That's how we connect with people. He's like, why can't they just watch the news? I'm like, no one does that.
They want to watch a 30-second reel of what's happened in the news. They don't actually want to sit down and watch the news. And same with podcasts. Like I love The Quickie by Mama Mia, which is just like a 5-minute news update every day. But I feel like people are more attuned to podcasts and things than we are sort of sitting watching TV in a sense, or even, I mean, I love reading the paper on a sad day, but we tend not to read the paper really. Like it's podcasts or it's Instagram or it's social media type things that are keeping us up to date, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's so true. So true.
So with if a female has a limiting beliefs about her body image or about strength training or about anything like that, where can you start? What can you do to start overcoming those things? Like I think about dating apps, I just really had to talk myself through it and just tell
Mm.
myself to get over it and get on there. But how do we do that with some of these bigger picture things?
Um, it's a good question. It literally just depends on the person. Again, like with the coaching side of things, I usually love sitting my clients down and really unpacking all of their limiting beliefs, like what are their fears and where they're coming from. Because as I mentioned before, usually our limiting beliefs are formed from a really young age, whether it's through experience of, being bullying at school, or it could come up developing child through family or like different interactions. What, like it could even happen as adults, our interactions with other people, with people projecting their shit onto us and something goes wrong. But that can lead also to forming limiting beliefs. So it's really unpacking what's actually happening down and exploring what are some of the limiting beliefs. So the most common one that I get is women not feeling confident enough to put themselves out to dating because they feel as if they're not skinny enough or not pretty enough. And it's just like, okay, cool. Well, where did that limiting belief come from? Like, you didn't feed this into your brain. Someone else might have. It could have been an ex-boyfriend. It could have been bullied at school. It could have been a parent, unfortunately, for, putting their child down, being like, oh, don't wear that. You look fat. I love my parents to bits, but sometimes when I was younger, I would put on a t-shirt or pants and they'd be like, oh no, you can't wear that. Like girls don't wear that. So again, that could be a certain limiting belief that's holding them back going into the gym and training or dating. So it's finding what's the one reason that's actually stopping them right now to, stepping into the gym or training with weights, and imagining if that limiting belief simply disappeared, and then asking yourself, what impact would this have on you if you could achieve whatever it is that you're wanting? Because most people don't actually think about that. They think of, oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. They don't actually open their mind and go, oh, what if I can actually do this and I unblock these barriers that I've, been putting in front of me?
That's interesting because that immediately takes me back to starting your own business, and you have
Mm.
this limiting beliefs of it's not going to work. I'm not going to make money. I'm going to fail. It's too hard. Like I don't know what I'm doing. And you're right. If I thought, I mean, I didn't think about that at the time. It was just a process of going, okay, I'm just going to do this because I hate my other job. But if I thought, well, remove all those things aside, and what if they weren't there? How could this be? It feels lighter now just thinking about. They go, oh, if there was no financial constraints, then how good would that feel? And I mean, so then I guess by saving money. So then I just saved a heap of money so that I could live off my savings while I started my business. You almost take away that limiting belief. So I guess if you're kind of thinking about, okay, I want to start strength training, but it's too hard, I don't know what I'm doing, it's too much, things like hiring a coach, working with someone like yourself, or getting a PT, or starting really small and joining a group fitness class and hiding at the back, like those kinds of things where you're stepping yourself into it rather than walking to the gym with, intense program and expecting to deadlift, something crazy heavy. It's those that progress, I guess.
100%. And in terms of like the strength training, as you mentioned, like investing in a coach would be literally my top suggestion to anyone, and whatever level you're at. If coaching is not something that you can see yourself doing just yet, then the group classes, there's many out there these days around Australia, worldwide, that will be so helpful. But it's literally just taking that risk and that chance for you to go, cool, like I'm here at level 1 and I want to get to level 5. What changes do I need to make right now to get to that level? Because obviously by holding yourself back and saying, oh, I can't do this, you're just staying at level 1, and you'll probably end up there for like the rest of your life if you're not going to take that baby step forward.
Like absolutely like anything. So I had fertility awareness method chick on Jess on the other day on the podcast, and it was exactly the same thing as what we're chatting about now, in that sense of you can try and do stuff by yourself, of course, but when you're learning, doing it with someone else, like working with you or working with Jess if it's fertility awareness, or working with me when it's gut stuff, or having a counselor or whatever, it takes away so many of those limiting beliefs, because you're putting your trust on someone else and going, Sigi, you guide me, help me, because I don't know what I'm doing. And it makes the process so much easier.
100%. Not only it makes the process easier, it's faster as well. And this is the thing that people don't realize. It's just like they think, oh, coaches are just wanting our money. It's just like, no, like we're wanting to fucking help you. Yeah. Like this is my job. It's just like it's the same you going to see a therapist. You're not going to see them for the rest of your life, because you're going to see them for a few appointments or sessions here and there. So that way you'll be able to detect what the root cause is, why you're anxious, depressed, or whatever it is, and be able to move on with your life without having to see them on a constant basis.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I've learned as a small business coach and having business coaches, and also personally working with personal trainers or coaches or doing programs and stuff, is that I've learned skills that are transferable and that I still use now from maybe one of the first PTs I had, or the first coaching I had, or the first person who taught me how to do macros properly, or whatever it is. They don't disappear. Like you keep that stuff and you build on that knowledge, which is so empowering as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that 100%.
Cool. Well, where can we stalk and find you, Sigi?
You can stalk me literally everywhere right now. My main account will be on Instagram. So it's Sig, Sig Fisher. And you can also find me on TikTok. I've been uploading a few videos here and there.
I need to get on there. I've been so lazy. Everyone's like, you got to get on TikTok. And I'm like, time. But good. I'll go find you.
I've literally just started my way on there. So it's fun. Mainly Instagram, a little bit of TikTok. What else? You can find me on my website, the ladies strengthdepartment.com. But aside from that, just those two.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I'll pop all the links in the show notes for you guys, and also tag Sig in some stuff. But we love you. I love you. I think you're an inspiration. I think you're amazing. The first time I met you in Bali, I was like, this girl, she's just a powerhouse. But honestly, the things you're doing for women and the changes you're making, it's inspiring to all of us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.